This is a graph that shows analgesic use during pregnancy in Sweden between 1995 and 2019, according to the National Birth Register. Here's another one that shows the rate of diagnosis of ASD, ADHD, and intellectual disabilities in that same region at that same time, according to the International Classification of Diseases codes and data from the National Patient Register. And here's both of them again, so you don't have to let the video finish and then play from the beginning to see what you missed on whichever one of them. I'll give you a second. Use it to share, like, and follow. In a screenshot from the paper written by Victor Ahlqvist, PhD, and others, and published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. They found that there's not a significant enough correlation between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and neurological diagnosis to even consider that there might be a causal link. Here's a graph of two completely unrelated things. Because this video isn't about autism, listen to experts about that, or people with autism, or both. They probably know where to find each other. This video is about the difference between correlation and causation. Do you see how nicely they line up? I mean, come on. What are the chances? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the odds are. The odds that it did happen are 1. It did happen. But just because two things happen, that doesn't mean one of them caused the other. Does this mean that Democrats are rigging the Maryland Electoral College with Michael Caine films? Does this mean astrology is valid? Farmers don't know how to fuck? If you just eaten the goddamn butter, your parents would still be together? No. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it isn't your fault. Of course it is, but more on that in another video. Follow me for updates. We're just seeing two things happen at the same time, and that can happen. Two things can be true, and probably more, I think. And while it's true that everything is just a result of prior conditions, we can't draw a line from all conditions to all outcomes just because they exist in the same space or at the same time. No, I'm definitely not the first person, the smartest person, nor by far the best person to talk about this. I'm just one of plausibly hundreds of thousands of others that have taken some platform at some time to talk about the difference between correlation and causation. But it won't go away. It lingers. It festers as if it's hardwired or ingrained into our DNA. Because it kind of, and I mean super duper kind of, is. I'll explain. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, that you're some extinct primitive human, Floresiensis, for example, and you're gathering food on the forest floor or in the trees, I don't know what you do, and you hear some noise, a tree branch falling, maybe, but you don't know what it is. You just know that it's a noise, and you also know what else makes noises. Big f***off rats and Komodo dragons and shit that you've literally watched eat your family and friends. They swallow you whole. In that situation, a false negative could be fatal, or a false positive is consequentially neutral. If it's a predator and you treat it like it's a predator, you survive. Maybe. If it's a predator and you treat it like it's not a predator, you don't survive. Not maybe. If it's not a predator, you survive whether you treat it like a predator or not. Both choices are completely independent of the outcome of your survival, and neither of them carry any negative consequences. To even be able to take advantage of this trait, Floresiensis must ignore the difference between correlation and causation. She doesn't have time to gather more data and determine if the noise was really a predator or just a branch. If it is a predator, the time she spends investigating that will only serve to preserve the predator's energy and not having to chase her as far. Humans, and perhaps all animals, benefited from this tendency to conflate these two things. Your brain is doing it for you. It's not a conscious choice. Because when predator-prey relationships first started coming onto the scene, every time someone would say, sometimes a noise is a predator, somebody else would say, not all noises, and then they'd be like, okay, fine, but like how unsafe do I have to be to figure out which noises are gonna hurt me? Do I have to like get hurt to figure that out? Eventually, the not all noises crowd would get eaten, and there would be nobody left to make podcasts about the noise loneliness epidemic. My point is, continue educating your homies on the difference between a causal relationship and a correlative one. Just be patient with them. They're just trying not to get eaten by a lizard. Sources in the description.